Here at Bravo for the B-side, we don't like to play favorites with all the people that we've talked to over these past couple of years.
Okay.
But if we did have a favorite or someone who is in the top handful of favorites,
Right.
it would be one of the people that we're talking to shortly.
Well, he currently holds the record for the most returns to the show.
This is true.
But we have Hilton.
Yeah.
He did it twice.
Kyle did it
twice. Tucky twice. So yeah, this is a breakthrough moment. Glass ceilings. We don't discriminate. We'll talk to whoever, however many times they want to talk to us.
This is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of excitement this Thanksgiving week.
Yes.
Even though it's the end of the Thanksgiving week, but still. We made a top 25 list, folks.
We did.
Yeah, just got a note.
It was like top 25 podcasts
for B movies.
Yeah.
On FeedSpot.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, we'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. Because we're awesome.
Well, we've been at it.
And here's the thing.
We do our best.
There are a lot of podcasts about movies.
And B movies.
And about B movies.
So that we even, we're curated into a top 25.
I know.
Sweet.
I mean, we take a slightly different, kind of angle than most other podcasts about B movies.
We're not I don't want to say ridiculous, but we don't drink during the podcast. We don't get off on these tangents. We don't do all this stuff. A couple people actually have written into us over the last couple of years saying they like the NPR style.
Sure.
We
have a goal.
Yeah. I mean, we fuck around a little bit. We make jokes, but we have a goal. We want to go through this movie. We want to talk about it, our experience with it, what we're thinking about it at different points. And then at the end, talk about the lessons, good or bad.
Yeah.
And, listeners who are into this business, hopefully will pick something up. And we know that some have. I mean, we've heard word here and there that thank you. This was great. Made me realize something. And, we're not the most worldly.
Well,
right?
Yeah. And we're not outrageous or ridiculous about it. We just, we like movies and we think that there's something valuable in every movie that we watch.
Yeah.
It's so funny that people say we have an NPR style because that was not intentional ever. I think that's just how it's
how we came at this.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we have a little energy, but we're not like over the top. And I'm not denigrating other podcasts. I hope, no one ever gets that.
Oh, no.
We don't like to shit on anybody because we are all in the same boat.
Actually, it's us against every other movie podcast. I'm no, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. Throwing the gauntlet down.
Yeah.
That's it for us. But anyway, it's cool to make that list, and every podcast has its own thing.
Yeah.
We just are, I guess, a slightly more serious, but we're also not doing reviews, right? We either like a movie or we don't, and we talk about why, but we talk about what about that is what you can get something from. Because again, how you write, how you direct, how you film is going to be influenced directly or indirectly by the shit that you see.
Yeah. I don't whinge when people call us a B-movie review podcast, which I have heard.
A lot.
Read a lot.
We're categorized as a review because they don't have anything else for us.
Right.
Again,
and what we do is similar to a review.
Yeah, but we're in that teeny tiny niche that has no name and no market value, apparently. Yeah. Anyway.
Fine. We don't do this for the boatloads of cash that we don't get.
Yeah. But what we have, and we talked about this before, another great side effect of doing this, trying to reach out and help people, is we have been in contact with some of the most wonderful people
we've met such
in the business. This interview,
we're so lucky,
is another example with one person, third time, and someone new.
Yeah.
That we are very excited about and very much looking forward to having a second, third, fourth, and so on. We've just met some really beautiful, talented people that have just made us better in general. So,
yeah, I mean, like doing this has enriched our lives, which is, really cool.
Yeah. We don't hit a lot of lessons in this talk. There are a few. We don't like specifically nail them. If you just listen to it, folks, you'll get it. You'll see. Making a movie is in and of itself full of lessons. Yeah. And if you've done it once, whether you've done great or it's just completely fucked over and, rolled over and died, you understand from the experience the things that could be lessons. You learn some lessons, and then hearing this, you'll be like, oh yeah. Oh, that didn't happen, but oh shit. Mm-hmm. If it does, I'm going to think about it and be prepared.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thought. Anyway, we had a lot of fun as always, and
hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you will. Should we bring him in?
Yes.
Let's go.
Hey there, B-Siders. Welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Danny.
And this is Jim.
And today we have a fabulous interview episode.
Yes, we do.
I'm very excited.
Yes.
Jim, do you want to introduce our guests?
I do. We have with us, and we kind of hinted at this last week, we have writer-director extraordinaire David Ryan Keith, and we have one of our favorite horror characters, Paul Flannery, who played Johnathan Blazer in Ghosts of Darkness. He's writer, director, and comedian. And welcome, gentlemen.
Oh, hey. It's always that awkward, but...
Yep, there we go.
I'm so reserved and British. Hello.
So, listeners, as you know, last week we did Ghosts of Darkness, and we mentioned that it's been a long time on the list, and we got to it because there will be some upcoming chatter about a continuation of that in a little bit. So let's start talking about what's going on, guys. We may lose David because he's in the middle of a
hurricane?
Scottish mainland hurricane kind of situation. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. So Ghosts of Darkness. Let's start with you, Paul. We loved the character Johnathan Blazer. And you heard our episode on it. On the things that we liked about him was, and we know this is, how characters are written, and David does a really good job at writing characters very cleanly and concisely. What was it like playing Johnathan Blazer to give us this sort of aloof lifestyle, kind of like he seems like he just goes through life, one thing or another,
like a leaf on the breeze.
Yeah, but then
exactly. Yeah, he is. Yeah,
yeah. But when it comes down to his trade, his craft, his talent, he's like laser focused, which we thought was a really interesting. He's like, no more aloofness, just all right, we're going to do this. And he is full on prepared. What was it like drumming him up in your head to bring him out for the audience?
I mean, a lot of fun, loads of fun. So David and I met through a mutual friend where I was doing a stage show and we were touring around the country, went to Aberdeen. He saw the stage show, and in it I play a character who's sort of a medieval fantasy dungeon master, and it has a similar sort of like performance style. And David went away from that, invented Johnathan Blazer, and then sort of together we started piecing him together. And he has, like you said, that this sort of leaf on the wind kind of lifestyle where it was fun to play around with the idea of like a person who is like so sure that ghosts just exist. They just do. They're there. That's done. You don't have to worry about, there's no mystery involved in that side of things. He's seen it all. He's done it. He's fine with it. He's like, yeah, sure. We'll get the board out and chat. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? He's, and it was really nice to sort of miss out that step of ghost storytelling, where you go, no, of course there are ghosts. There are dinosaur ghosts and there'll be ghosts everywhere. The whole place is covered in ghosts, How many people have died here? So that was really fun. And then to sort of like, what would that situation do to your life? You know, where would that leave you? You have, in a way, quite a lot of power, but in a way, you're terrible with responsibility. So it's sort of the anti-Spider-Man message, and just this guy sort of in free fall in his life, going, he just rolls from one terrible decision to another, getting into ridiculous debt, and just, you know, he drinks a lot, and he you know, he just is. He has all this knowledge that nobody else sort of seemingly has, but can't do anything with it because no one believes him. Look at him, you know. So it's sort of, I guess, at some point just going, whatever happens, and then ends up at this house with you know, the rather stiff figure of Jack, and it just sort of, it really, really worked. Really bounced off each other. But as a character to play, super fun. As an actor, I sort of don't get into character until I put the coat on. Sort of and thankfully we've got this marvelous 3-piece tweed suit, so easy to sort of go and Blazer, done, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
I did like the wardrobe selection.
Oh yeah,
for him. It was I think just outside the circle of normal, but not, you know, he wasn't wearing like 60s flare pants, jeans, and, you know, headband, and just kind of like, I'm tripping with the groove kind of thing. You know, he wasn't really far out there, but it did give him, I don't know, I think it fit the personality that came through very, very well.
But it was still, it's still sort of reality that it's sort of pushing the boundaries. He looked like a really eccentric geography teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
But but you wouldn't be like, that guy's wearing a weird outfit. You'd be like, oh, nice suit, or that's an odd suit. Yeah. So it catches the eye without being too, I know what you mean. There's no like frilly cuffs and things like that. Maybe the next one, who knows? Maybe the next movie. We don't know.
He might go retro. There we go.
Well, this is the thing. It was so much fun to play and to write. I mean, I've been knocking about with ideas for another Blazer thing for ages, and you know, this is why we're here. Why we've got another script in the chamber, as they say.
Yeah,
that's not a phrase, Paul. That's not a phrase.
So, David, on the character of Johnathan Blazer, what? Because in all your films, every character has a very specific place. And like with Redwood Massacre, we had the usual complement of characters. We had the one that, you know, I wanted dead immediately after she appeared on screen. You know, the annoying, oh God, I hope she goes. And then, you know, later I was terrified. Shit, she's going to be the one who survives. No. But then, you know, Dino Girl, and I'm just going to keep calling her that. You know, she was our like level-headed one. And then we had the ancillary characters. When you were putting this together, what was the importance of making Johnathan Blazer the way that he was?
I think, well, I need to say straight away that Paul and Michael actually changed quite a lot of the dialogue in the script and kind of reinvented what I originally intended, to be fair. You know what I mean? That's true, Paul, yeah. But the whole idea was, so I can't take the credit, but the way the film...
Here we go. It wasn't him. It was all me. It was collaborating. It was a nice opportunity to collaborate.
I think we had like the bare bones of a script, and the way the movie was set up, it was more, we went to a distributor and said, what's trending, what, like, trying to take the money from them, you know, like, what film do you want? And they were like, paranormal. So when we were doing the Johnathan Blazer and the Jack Donovan, I was like, the only way to make it kind of interesting with such a low budget is to make them so extreme. So I thought having someone like Johnathan Blazer was like a good angle for some maybe subtle comedy. And I don't even know if that was even in the script, Paul. Was it like, it wasn't that funny?
I thought it was funny.
there were a lot of gaps for jokes. I remember we go through it before we'd shoot the scenes, like the night before, and then we'd sort of add just basically Johnathan is kind of like in a different film, or he's been invited by mistake almost, and like there's really serious stuff just going down, and he's like teenagers, just sort of meandering around, and it was just sort of nice and fun to play because Jack and is so straight down the line and so serious. It just was so easy to sort of.
And when we were given the money to make this movie, they wanted a serious paranormal. That was like the blueprint. Here's the money, come back with a scary paranormal movie. Mm-hmm. And obviously, as we're filming with Paul and Michael Coltes, it just kind of naturally, with all the stuff we couldn't really do scare-wise, they kind of like plugged in the gaps with more of the character development and comedy. And if I'm honest, when we sent the finished film to the distributor, he was really disappointed. Was like,
really?
He was like, this isn't what we were asking for. We were asking for a paranormal, scary movie. And we'd kind of delivered, like, I don't know, it's like a very soft comedy buddy film, I guess. So it was...
Well, I'm kind of speechless.
Yeah.
Because, we thought this was an excellent traditional ghost story.
Yeah, it felt very like classical ghost story.
Yeah.
That bit's all David. That's the original core of the script, the story, like you said, it's very classical, and that's all David.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know where the point was where it changed. I think it was the first time you guys acted together. It kind of just set the tone for the whole movie. You know what I mean? So I was like, I thought it was a lot better the way it was going. And it kind of, like I said, papered over the stuff we couldn't do. And then obviously by the end of the film, when you saw the kind of the special effects we got, it kind of, I hope, kind of like matches the feel of the movie, that kind of thing. But yeah, the guy was pretty disappointed when he first watched it. He was a bit bemused that what we delivered.
I wonder if he was looking, because we had talked about it in the episode. We're not really big on the paranormal stuff because it has taken such a tangent to it's 1,000 jump scares. It's a lot of just quick boo. I don't know.
Really predictable.
Yeah, and not a lot of story. And or it goes the other way, and in between all this, they give you 15, 20 minutes of solid backstory exposition that's supposed to be spooky as well. And it kind of takes you out of what you're doing. We just don't like them. But this was, we fanboyed over it. Paul, you listened to the whole episode. I don't know if David, how much you got through, but it, we oozed over this thing because it was really good in terms of a good ghost story. And that's kind of the way it is just the weird stuff going on. You delivered some visuals very quickly that weren't so much jump scares, but gave us that creepy feeling, that haunted house feeling. You don't necessarily have to see, you just kind of sense. And we could identify with both characters what they were going through. It was just a wonderful ride, and I don't know what this distributor was thinking, but shame on him.
And shame, yeah. I know.
It's such a juggling act when you have like that little money, and thank you, Mr. Distributor, for that money. But when you go, you can't pull off The Conjuring because there just isn't the effects budget. So you fill it with hopefully a good story, good dialogue, a bit of humor, and then the bits that you end up focusing on, you get really good horror rather than like having to scrape the butter across all that bread. They just say, I guess 5 jump scares and a mask reveal.
And if you remember, Paul, we had a real costume for the bad guy that we had to get rid of because it looked so bad. And we're like, we'll do it with CGI. It'll look so much better. But I think even on day one, when we're kind of looking at everything, we're like, the only thing we've got is the actors and the house. That was like...
the freaky house, like the pram. Yeah. I mentioned the pram when you were a review, and like, that's just in the house. just a freaky pram. We're like, we'll move that. That'll be fun. Yeah, David's just scouting around. David's going, yeah, that'll scare him.
Or the door that led to nowhere. That was just kind of added in. And
that was just in the house.
The dumb closet.
Oh, the flies on the window as well. Remember that in the kitchen? Yeah, they were just like for real in this, we were shooting in this house and there was just a weird fly infestation one day. We're like, B-roll, done.
Nice.
On IMDb, it says that y'all stayed in that house while you were filming.
Not that one.
So there was 2 houses. So the one you see in the movie, I think we stayed there for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we lived there as well. So it was a small crew, but we lived there and we shot there.
That was my bedroom. That was Johnathan Blazer's bedroom.
Yeah. So you really did have a 4-poster bed. But you had to go across on a ferry to get to this place. And that was it. There was that house and there was like a post office or something, was there?
Yeah, and a pub that didn't open.
And that was it.
That was it.
Oh my gosh.
So we were there was nothing else to do but to shoot the movie. So coming up with all the stuff that wasn't in the scripts was a result of us basically, being tied to this location with nothing else to do. So in a kind of weird way, it worked out for the best.
Was it a creepy house? Was there anyone on cast? I mean, I don't know if either of you, believe in ghosts or anything or got freaked out by the house. Was any of that going on? I know
Paul doesn't. You don't believe in ghosts. But I remember the sound man said he heard footsteps, remember, coming from upstairs? Can you remember? Or something in the kitchen bell?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. It's a perfectly weird, kooky, lovely old house but there's some bizarre sort of fittings in it. We didn't quite. There's a mirror made of antlers. Like there's some amazing features in this house. It's huge. It's vast. And yeah, I never got creeped out. It's just a bit slightly old, a bit kooky, and a bit creaky. There's some all the big portraits that are on the walls. They're all there. It is just that house. There's weirdly, I made contact this year or last year. There's a group of about 15 or 20 friends who stay there every summer for like a little week holiday. They ever get away because it's on Airbnb. And they every year watch Ghosts of the Darkness while they're there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And they one of them got married, and you were quoting lines from the film, and they had like little Johnathan Blazer T-shirts and stuff. It was so weird.
That would actually be like a great fundraising idea. Like, David, you could invite people to come stay in the house and talk about the movie and watch the movie and stuff.
I think the owner I think there's been a few movies shot there, but he has the DVDs out for the guests, so
that's so cool.
I'm not sure if the TV even worked. I can't even remember if it did. So they got nothing else to do but watch Ghosts of Darkness and the other.
Or work on tomorrow's scene. That's basically what we did. I have to work on the summit. Yeah.
Wow. I was just thinking, you could do almost like a Rocky Horror Picture Show kind of thing. Set up a big fundraising event and get as many people as you could. Do like live reenactments of like various scenes while people are watching. Just kind of like walk out and along with the movie, say your parts, do your thing, fade off, come back out, fade off. I would do it.
Honestly, guys, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's actually not far from where they filmed some of Braveheart, I remember.
Oh,
which was
okay.
Like the only, like, ooh, filmed some of Braveheart here, but it was,
yeah, it's mad. You have to go, put your car on a ferry, go across a lock, and then drive for 10 minutes into seemingly nowhere. There's this house, this house just pops up, and it is just as creepy as it sounds. It just is. There's no oh, okay, how are we going to film this haunted house thing? Oh, we're going to find a big old haunted house. Fair enough. We'll just do that.
It seems simple enough, logical.
Yeah.
I remember reading about the Braveheart production, how they had to set up basically like temporary towns for a lot of the crew and stuff, because there was such travel issues, and there's so many things that in that big of a production that need to be done at all hours. And it's like, we can't have a steady stream of people going back and forth. It's just not, it's not going to work for the budget.
I don't know how well you can remember Braveheart, but the scene where they kill his girlfriend at the start, that's the only part they really shot in Scotland. And the reason is because where the town is, Fort William, is like the rain capital of Europe. So they quickly left to shoot the rest in Ireland. But what's amazing about Scotland, they had all these sets, and they decided the best thing to do with it would be to turn it into a car park. So that's the only thing left of Braveheart.
Oh.
Where they shot it. I called it the Braveheart car park.
I do remember almost the entirety of those shots. It's just it constantly wet and muddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense. If that's I think
they ended up they waited for, because I used to work with one of the guys who was in Braveheart, the dad who gets his hand chopped off.
Oh yeah,
James Cosmo.
James Cosmo, that's it.
And he said that, I mean, they put it off rain because of the rain for so long, it got to the point where they were just like, we're just going to have to shoot. And that's the scene they got when he's come up in slow motion and he takes these thing. Yep. And then they were gone. They were like, let's get out of here.
We're done. Put this behind us. Yeah. No more. Oh, so shooting this film, you have a very, David, you have a very, I guess, identifiable signature style that we've come to know in how you frame things and what you choose to frame in all your different shots. And starting out, those opening shots did a really great job of introducing us to the house without going room to room and doing every single thing. There was just we got that in the middle of nowhere. This is a very old, traditional old home, big, empty kind of thing. When you go through these places, what kind of hassle or challenge is it for you to think of, I want this, this, and this? And do you ever run into obstacles where you're told you can't shoot in here, or you can't I don't want something on this floor, or I don't want you guys this close to the railing because it may break and you may fall to your death or something like that?
I think the only obstacle in Ghost of Darkness was the camera movement. We could never do enough camera movement because it looks quite big on the screen, but the rooms are quite small or have a lot of... There is one... Remember, there was one big room where you and Michael talk and all that, and that was like... Anytime we had the space, we'd try and move the camera, but... Apart from this was my first film that someone else had paid for. So when it came to actually shooting it, I was quite reserved in the way I shot it. It was quite static in a weird way, just because I was trying to just make sure I was going to get what I needed and deliver the movie. It was always in the back of my head that someone else had paid for this. So, but apart from the geography of the house, you guys had free reign, and we just did whatever, worked best for you guys. We just tried to make it work for the camera as well, really.
Okay.
Yeah, very high ceilings, but most of the rooms are quite small, apart from one or two big main rooms. Yeah, a lot of corridors. Which are nice.
A lot of corridors. And even the swimming pool, I'm sure that was never in the script. It was just like one of those things. So there's a swimming pool.
Yeah, the guys, we've got to use it.
Yeah, someone's going in.
To be fair, that's it's getting the same treatment in the next script. It's literally, well, we've got to do something with this thing. It's here.
Yeah.
It's gonna.
So
Paul, it was also. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just thinking back, because we shot it so long ago. It was the first film I shot in 4K as well, and there was like a weird, and I don't know why there was a pressure. Maybe it was a storage thing, but we're filming in 4K, and I'm very aware of the storage, but yeah. Because when did we shoot this? 2015?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 14, 15. Must be 15, yeah.
It doesn't seem that long ago, but the technology's advanced so much since we shot that movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I can relate because we started this little YouTube channel, Observations of Earth with BF McGillicuddy. It's me in a Boba Fett helmet and a stupid astronaut suit, just taken 5 minutes to, what would an alien think of all the random crap going on this planet? Just every little thing. It's just a few minutes, but I do it in 4K for the people who want it. And then, YouTube automatically downsizes for those who can't. And just in those, the gigs just start tick, 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 tick right up. And I thought, how would an independent filmmaker try and shoot 4K? I mean, the stacks of memory cards you would need, because it's not, it's take after take.
It's so funny because this is actually the original card we used for Ghosts of Darkness. So it was only 480 gigabytes.
Oh.
So it was like, back then it was like proper SSD cards, but
right.
We're always aware that if we filled this up, it was going to take like 3 hours to transfer.
Yes.
Before we could wipe it. So it was always in the back of our mind back then. But of course now you just get like terabytes and terabytes of storage.
Well, yeah, nowadays that's like you said, technology has advanced. I don't think you can buy anything that doesn't shoot in 4K anymore. At least have that option. And yeah, the storage, external storage, internal storage, they've just gone up so much. And the speed as you're filming, I mean, that is also another big thing, because we have seen from this era of Ghosts of Darkness, there are some who had to budget their media, and you can see those wavers and those flickers because it couldn't capture fast enough to the card. Which is a little heartbreaking, but I mean, you look past it because you're like, oh, it's not their fault, kind of thing. Paul, I was going to ask you, with all this limited space, because another thing we were doing is just kind of marveling at all this shit in this house. We're like, oh, we would love to surround ourselves with this kind of stuff. With all that stuff around you, it not being a set, they're not being props. This is real stuff. How does that, I've always been curious. I mean, how does that kind of make you feel inside, like right there in the center of your chest when you're going to let loose on this scene? I mean, being conscious of you're in somebody's place and this is all their actual stuff. Does that hinder you at all, or give you like a sense of panic, or help you refine?
Yeah, there were not panic as such. We were very lucky. We one of the chap who owns the house, his son ended up working on the crew. A lovely guy called Rory, who's wonderful. So we always had like a second pair of eyes there, who was also walking around going, "Please don't break my dad's stuff." But it gave us a good sort of like a gatekeeper to get through. Like, can we put this in the back of a shot? Can we move that thing there? We make sure we'll move it back. So we had somebody who knew where everything lived, which was nice. But it made us be careful, which is good. And sort of not accidentally, but like drove us into that thing of like, no, let's do a walkthrough, get the blocking right, get the steps correct, okay. and then you've done everything you can to sort of limit any potential, anything sort of drifting off. Because as much as things look frantic, the more frantic it is, the more controlled it has to be, and the more sort of like on it. And then it's sort of up to sort of David and the magic to make it look like we've accidentally done something. So we didn't actually break anything, which is really good.
Do you remember, Paul? We had a crew member, and we had this big room, but we wanted to clean out the room. Do you remember we came back and he'd taken all of the stuff from the room and just piled it high up in the corridor?
Oh yeah.
I was just like. All the paintings, oh my god! But yeah, I'm not sure Rory saw that one, or did he?
I don't know. Luckily, that guy's not coming back. But look, I was very careful. I'm super aware of not breaking, because if people break my stuff, I get like on the outside, I'm like, that's fine. On the inside, I die. So I project that onto to wherever I am. So I'd be absolutely heartbroken if we'd ruined anything. But no, it was it just makes you rehearse the thing and really sort of plot through. It has to be this, and this.
What was the environment? So like with Redwood Massacre, shot some here, and then you had to continue shooting months later, and the summer clothes we're fine. But then, we've gotten a lot of the uncomfortable stories of having to, get fake blood on, and it's freezing cold outside to, when it wasn't before. What was that environment like in the house? I mean, was it comfortable? Was it, because I don't know how they keep these old houses these days. How many of them have like any kind of modern heating or ventilation, or if they rely on the traditional fireplaces in rooms, or what's going on?
I'm trying to think, but I remember one of the big things was it was so nice when we were there. We were doing a horror movie, and it was
the sunniest October Scotland has ever seen.
Such great weather every day. Even when we were filming outside the house, I was like,
trying to shoot this moody house. It's a beautiful day. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
But inside, I'm trying to remember. We never had that much crew. There must have been maybe 10 of us, maybe less.
No, fewer. Yeah, there was you, Lorraine, Liam, Rory, Sean. One of the other student guys that was changed as it went, the sound guy, and then I guess me and Michael. So 9.
And that was it. Yeah. And the house was big enough that we weren't like living on top of each other. Well, I didn't think anyway. But as far as the house went, I hope the guy's not going to watch this, but I mean, it is kind of run down. It's like if I paid that kind of much money to go on holiday there, I'd be like, a little bit disappointed. But
you live in Scotland.
Yeah.
But there were bits of it that were really cold and bits of it that were okay. But
like the swimming pool. The swimming pool is freezing. That's one thing I do remember.
That's what I was wondering.
It's not a heated pool. I know he claims it's heated, but that was cold. Okay. No, he says it's heated. I went in it one night with my kids came up and they were freezing. So, but I mean, there wasn't really much drama. We only had one bit of drama, and that was through a sound guy we hired. Like maybe, well, I won't say maybe, he fudged his qualifications. So that was as much as the drama really got. I mean, I can't really think of anything else that it kind of we all went a bit stir crazy, I think, by the end of the shoot.
So
in terms of temperature, tweed is very insulating, so I was very comfortable. Yeah. It's not a problem. But it is a long time it's very intense, isn't it? You've got 2 weeks, everyone's all together, and you live and breathe this film. And then, by this of it, and then we moved to another location for a week or so. And it's sort of like you just, again, towards the end of it, you are sort of like everyone's a bit tired. You are like, come on.
Yeah, we were crawling over the finish line in this movie. Really, once we moved from that house, we're kind of like,
yeah.
So, is the sequel going to be in that same house, or is it in a different location?
Hoping it's going to be in the same house. Obviously, that we've not booked it, so we can't say if it is. But we're having chats with them about it, and it's certainly written as if it's in the same house. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't we, one or both of you, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's being worked on for this sequel to this great ghost story?
Paul? So it's much more Blazer centered. It's much more centered around Johnathan Blazer. So we've sort of expanded on his character and the world that he inhabits. So he is part of a sort of a psychic agency. So sort of like Sherlock Holmes meets James Bond, but they do ghost stuff.
Awesome.
And pretty cool. He recently lost his partner of 10 years, or killed on a job, and he's lost the ability to commune with the dead. And he's like sort of a bit loose end. They're thinking of bumping him from the agency, and they send him off on this sort of low-level investigative mission with a sort of new agent, a sort of hotshot rookie, if you will. In fact, he's livid about it because he's like, he recognizes the trope. He's like, it's a hotshot rookie. Are you kidding? The hell? Yeah. Can you hear yourself? like everyone else around him is sort of not aware that there is a trope or that this thing is, he's like, come on, look how stupid this is. So he gets sent off with this sort of younger agent who's like very psychic. She's like the top of the academy. She's, the pride of the academy and everything. And they go off to Richmond Manor, where the current resident is claiming that he has proof of the afterlife and he wishes to visit the place beyond the grave. And he's looking for, he thinks of it as like a new frontier, like a sort of, a bit like a sort of Victorian explorer, sort of like going out to conquer the frontier, a little bit, 1700s American Thanksgiving. Sort of Blazer's convinced it's demons because that's what killed his partner. And it's that sort of like, so it's the story of him sort of like coming to terms with the sort of death of his best friend and getting his powers back and finding out whether or not it's absolutely full of demons, which, spoilers, it's full of demons.
But of course.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That still rolls into it.
Right, yeah.
Let's talk about one little moment in Ghosts of Darkness. I think every film I've made a reference to every one of David's films. I've made a reference to Westerns, old American Westerns.
Yeah.
In terms of how they had a very specific way of unfolding the story, and they also gave us some very specific tropes that can be translated into other things. And this right away, it was reminding what you were talking about for the sequel is I always call it the retired gunfighter. Right. It's for whatever reason, he's out of the game and then he's like pulled back into it. And it's not just, does he want to, or doesn't he, but can he, can he pull that gun as fast as he used to, or is this just going to be a travesty kind of thing? In this case, will you find your connection and stuff? But Danny's all-time favorite scene in Ghosts of Darkness, and I have to agree, is the salt.
Oh yeah.
When you pull those vials out and you pop we talked about it in the episode. It was so samurai Old West kind of thing. Just the best kind of action. You owned it. And we were like, go, Johnathan. Shit. Yeah. Spread that salt. Fuck him.
Yeah. Stab that child. Yeah. We're all there.
Well, that too. Was that as written, or was that something that you worked on, or did that just kind of happy accident? What was that scene?
Did we come up with that? We must have come up with that on at the time.
I think it was always
you turned up with the little vials of salt for like the props, and I was like, I think we can do a circle in one. I reckon we could do a circle in one. You're like, I'm not sure we got time, Paul. We can't just shoot. Like, we'll try one. I think we just did one circle. We're like, no, we can do this. This will be fun.
It was definitely your idea to the dramatic pop, and because the wall was so close,
silly, toss it on the side, bounce back. Yeah.
But I remember that was one of the hardest nights. Could you remember? It looks fun now, but God, it was so hard. We had these little tiny lights that we're trying to use to keep it dark, and it was late at night, and that's probably one of my best memories of that movie is how horrible it was to shoot that scene.
Well, it's a lot of hard work. I mean, it's especially from your side, I think, like, because it was an inexperienced crew, because again the budget is quite small, so you're getting some students in and people who are really like, there we go, really willing and really able and wanting to do things, wanting to learn, but you had to sort of micromanage nearly every sort of thing that you were doing. It was like obviously 10 days into the shoot and you're like, set up the tracks there and the guys know what they're doing. But up until that point, you have to give over so much of yourself to that. Like by the end of it,
but then by the time you get to that 10 days, that's when they're just like, oh my, this is not fun. This is not why I thought making a movie was. So yeah.
So let's talk about. Let's go jump back into the sequel. What either both of you, where are you guys in that process, and what is the process? Clearly there's a script, because that's been mentioned, and I'm assuming it's drafts, whatever, having been picked at and stuff. What is it like working on a sequel? Where are you in that phase, and what do you need to do? We'll talk about money raising later, because that's like a constant.
It's a weird one, because when Ghost of Darkness, the first one, came out, it was a $50,000 movie, and within the first week, the guy doubled his money. He got like a Redbox deal, and then it just kind of disappeared. And it's made some money, so it's not something we could always go back to the distributor and be like, "Oh, would you make a sequel?" It doesn't seem on the face of it to be that much interest. But online, it's always surprising how many people have seen it, and it's probably the best reviewed movie I've ever done. Even when before it came out, the reviews were so good. I was like, oh wow, this one might do good. As opposed to Redwood Massacre, where people are like, I'm going to kill you, it's so bad, that kind of thing. So we're like in this kind of weird limbo, because it always felt like there should be a movie, and a lot of people that have watched the film are like, oh, I want to see more with Johnathan Blazer. Like, they love Paul in the movie. So it was in that weird kind of limbo where I was like, I don't think there's enough interest to secure money, to do it. But we found an old producer friend that he's confident he can get enough money up to shoot the movie. So it's going to be and what's kind of funny is it'll probably be double the budget of the first one. And I think Paul's script is different enough, and it plays as an original movie in itself. And I think it's a great script. So we're nearly there. I think we're just waiting for one person to read it now, aren't we? So we can finally sit down and it's got a tie-in to the original film, but nothing that overshadows itself. So you can just watch it flat out and go, be completely oblivious about the first film, and it'd be fine, which is nice. I probably should say as well, it's not just me writing it. It's a friend of mine, Tom Bell, who is an actor and a comedian as well. We've both been sort of toying with. He saw Ghost of Darkness when I did a showing, and we both sort of love hammer horror and love the old horror movies, and so we've been knocking about the idea, I can't write something. When I write a Blazer movie, surely, and he sort of wrote out a couple of fun scenes, and I sort of took them and ran with it, so made his first draft, and he's done some relooks. But so it's nice to have other people on board, and But yeah, we look at it going, we're always writing it trying not to be too budget conscious, but at the same time, you can't just and another character. Right. You have to be like, how do we make it so that you just the square is a circle and the script in terms of cutting the corners. It's really streamlined in that respect. It's a really ambitious script. The first time I read it, it was not what I was expecting. When you're going to do the sequel to Ghost of Darkness, I was like, okay, let's see. It's so different to the first one, but incorporates the best of what I think the audience liked about the first one, if that makes sense. Because it is like a standalone movie, I think it's got a good shot of us maybe getting it off the ground. It's just unfortunate we couldn't get the money based off the original, so we're going the long way around again, set it up like an original film, I guess.
But the thing, I think the thing with all these things is that having a good script is you need that. I mean, you look at some films, obviously loads of films get made, the script is awful, or you see stuff come out, you're like, how did 3 people read this and went, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, I'll give you money. It's crazy, and you think, okay, we've got something that it feels like I'm really proud of it, and it feels like it's a good script. You're like, no one's coming back and telling me it's not. I mean, people are polite, but you think, come on, someone give us some money. Great.
But we're also lucky because the producer we're kind of courting, I guess. He likes movies. He's a very honest guy and all that. As opposed to I mentioned the script to another producer I did with Redwood Massacre, and he's like, I'm not making that. as soon as I mentioned Hammer horror. So it's like, I think we found the right fit, the right fit. You know what I mean? Someone that can, like, the questions he's asking already make perfect sense, as opposed to maybe the other producers will be asking different questions, which. So
we're not saying Hammer horror. It's Sherlock Holmes, but with ghosts.
Yes.
I like it. Well, that's the thing, though. That's the thing, though, isn't it? Everything about this business is really, no matter how good you are, there's the chance luck factor, the chance and luck that you'll have in finding that person who will look at this and go, "Oh shit, I love this," and understands that genre, what you're doing, Hammer horror, and we know there are people who. Here, you say Hammer horror, they're like, because they bought into all the new modern, CGI slash and hack, no story, no meat to it. I mean, because we love a senseless slasher. We love a storyless gore fest, right? Those are fun. But yeah, when you try to sell something that has a specific slant to it, it really is hard to find someone who reads the script and is like, "Oh, I know what's going on here. I like this feel," and then that has to go to a producer and everyone involved, because we've had both ends.
Make all the stars line up in just the right way.
Exactly. We've had people look at like our horror script. They're like, "This is excellent. I love where this is going," and people are like, "This needs more blah 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 blah," and all the blah 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 is. Well, but we're not writing another Paranormal Activity or strippers versus zombies, right?
Why not though? Come on, that needs to happen. Somebody needs to be brave.
I think there is one though.
Yeah, but I imagine. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
It's that thing of like, not everybody is appreciative of Christopher Lee and The Devil Rides Out. But we saw that book. I mean, I love that movie. But it's the Cabin in the Woods is the other sort of like nice comparison where the movie it says it's one thing, but halfway through you sort of like, oh, this is so much more to it, and it's gory and scary and fun and witty and but modern and clean, but it's slightly kooky and old fashioned at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It has a familiarity to it that you like. It's really comforting, but at the same time, please don't get near that lake. That's terrifying.
Well, what your comment on when you said at least 3 people had to read this and said, okay, well, we just had that conversation because we have watched a couple super bad, like, background waste your time movies.
Yeah, we watch a movie every week for this podcast. And, not just those, but other ones. But we've had a real string of stinkers.
Yeah. We had the same thing. Well, Vicious Kind, which is the active one this week.
Yeah.
Right. For the Thanksgiving. We first jumped on it because we thought, oh, Thanksgiving. Let's do a Thanksgiving themed movie. And it wasn't. Thanksgiving came and went in like 3 minutes and had nothing actually to do with it.
Yeah.
And it had these great actors. Great performances by all of them. And we're watching and we're like, did nobody at any point read this script and put out the question, what's the point? Where are we going? And they were just kind of randomly happening. And at the end, there was no real, we're like, so who's the winner here? Who had redemption? Who had growth? Who had exploration or discovery? How am I supposed to feel? Because, it was just weird. And we did have that conversation.
Like Paul, we had a taste of something like that with the Dark Within movie, where there's so many people involved pulling the script. This is the way it should be, and that's the way this should be, and you got to have this. By the time you come shoot it and you edit it and you watch it back, and you're just like, holy shit, what is this?
Yeah, so there's no point to this. Yes. I remember complaining about it. I was like, it's just an hour of me walking around regarding things.
Yeah, it's like,
what was this?
That was like, and it was all agreed, and my part like responsible as well to get the movie just made. trying to appease him, you know what I mean? I think we had like 7 different people writing that script at one point, remember? And we got this final script 3 days before we shot the movie, and it was completely different.
It was the wrong way around of doing everything, yeah.
And then, like, speaking to other people that might make films, they call it a compromise, but apparently this compromising happens on all movies that get made. There's always someone who's putting in the money thinks they know better or wants something in the movie.
And my kid has to be in the movie. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Or there has to be a replica of the Maltese Falcon, and that's what they have to hold. It has to be on screen. It has to be. Why? Because I want it. Well, you've got the check.
90 minutes of screen time. Yeah. You watch
a lot of indie movies, especially I do on Amazon, and there's always like weird scenes that I'm always like, I bet they were asked to put that scene in.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee someone's went, I want that scene in there, and it's going to be my wife, it's going to come in and act. So it's like, so that's what we're trying to avoid.
Well, I got some reserve scenes, some like penned, like some stuff that could be in the film, but sort of taken out because 1, doesn't need it, or 2, you haven't got enough actors, because again, we have to be really conscious of how many people there are.
Right.
So if somebody comes in and goes, my kid needs to be in this movie, great, I've got just the scene. Just wheel it in and go, there we go.
But even for this, remember when we read through the script, I was like, let's do a table read for the producer. So we're eliminating what their interpretation of the script is. I want them to hear the actors read it out and just be very clear, this is the tone, this is what we're trying to do.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the way Paul wrote the script's probably not the way I envision it, so I think it's best if we've got a lot of cooks just to kind of let's narrow down to we're as close as we can.
Or just have everyone speaking the same language as well in their heads, because it is like, especially at the beginning, it starts off with Johnathan in Johnathan's world. Everyone's wearing 3-piece tweed suits and everybody's speaking slightly clipped. Going, I don't know, Johnathan, are you sure, old boy? Going, well, that's my take on it. And it's all a bit sort of like, it's very quite stylized. And the more he drifts away from there and gets into Richmond Manor, the more things twist and turn and become a bit more sort of universal. But it's a good launching point, but it isn't. It's not how everybody thinks. Just how me and Tom write.
It could be lost in translation from the UK to the US, I guess.
Right.
So it's.
Let's focus on that for a second, because we had a very brief but eye-opening experience with, this is what I've written, this is the idea that we discussed, and then you let somebody else get their fingers in the pot, and then you see a rough cut, and you're like, in my exact words, this was just for a short film, I looked at it, and my response was, I fucking hate this. I have not hated anything so much as this. This is not what we talked about, how it was cut. I mean, it was shot the way we, the tone and stuff. Yeah. It was very, we went for a mix of British style dialogue where it's quick, boom, 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 where you don't think for a second, well, they had to think of what to say. It just kind of comes. And then the awkward pauses and the uncomfortableness just based on what the story was about. But when we got this rough cut back, we're like, shit. This is what we get for trusting people no more than we do. And we've talked about it here and there. The difference between working in indie films or even B movies, you have more latitude than, the A films of Hollywood, where it doesn't matter what you want. There's 1,000 people in suits with giant wallets above you who are just going to beat that thing into, this is what we want to hit the screen. So a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to make my own stuff.
Not realizing that there are similar problems.
Yeah. Unless you're going to fund it and distribute. I mean, if you're not going to do this all out of pocket, which is, ridiculously expensive, you have to work with people. Can you guys, like in this process, let's say with even Dark Within, Ghosts of Darkness, or even this one, you want it to be what you wrote and what you feel. What kind of armor do you put on when you go into these meetings or have these talks so that you can walk out with, not holding the decapitated head of your story in favor of, his wife's now the star.
I think the door swings both ways for independent movies where, say in my instance, where I write, direct, edit, which sounds like a good thing where you can keep it the way you think, but sometimes it goes the other way where,
oh, we saw it.
The lights go.
You're still here, though.
it's like ghosts.
Sometimes harboring the movie actually harms your own movie. Sometimes I've had experience with someone from the outside coming in, and doesn't often happen, but can make massive improvements. But I've been quite, especially with The Dark Within, when I knew that was going down fast, I was like, this post-production, this is it. And I just fought them all the way. I knew the film was, there was scope for the film to be worse. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And I just put my head down. I was like, nope. And kind of carried that on to Redwood Massacre, Annihilation, which kind of hurt the film where it should have been shorter. That kind, you know what I mean? So now I'm like, yes, it's a tough one because people don't necessarily see what you're trying to do, and it's very hard to explain it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've got that as well, Paul. The stuff you do, it's. Yeah,
I mean, I generally, on the whole, produce immersive theatre. That's my other sort of strain of things, and I always feel like as a creative, there's always a line that you get to. You go, I've written this script. And you go, that version of the script, that's yours. That's what you've done. That's well done, you. That will then get passed over to somebody else, and they will have to interpret it. Whether or not someone's doing a play version of your screen, or script on a stage, or whether they're making their own movie of it, or they're just reading it at a table. And even if you're there trying to micromanage exactly how people pronounce a syllable or whatever, you probably don't want to be doing that. You probably do want to hand it over to people who will interpret it, but they will put their own spin on it. It will be different to how you envisioned it, and just embrace that and surround yourself with people who, when they do that, you don't mind them. You like them enough that you don't want to kill them, I guess is the I always find I produced a thing last in August, a live thing, and handed it over to some really, really lovely friends and good actors who I really trust. And again, it just took a weight off my plate in a way, because I didn't have to deal with it. They just ran with it, and the stuff that they were producing and coming out of their mouths and they were doing, I was like, I didn't do that. I gave them a little idea and they went for it, and it was better than I could have possibly done. But yeah, there's always that. I think I've written the script. That version of the script exists in a bubble and will always be like that. But as soon as it becomes a film, even if I'm in it, and even if I'm in the room when it's being shot, it's going to be different, and it's going to be changed, and some other things are going to come up, and you just got to try and be really flexible about it. I think, because it's very easy to be I find very easy to be precious about stuff and go, oh no, because that's because I love that bit, and actually, expect it to be different, and then doesn't matter what we shoot, David's going to edit it, and if we've annoyed him, just cut you out.
The revenge edit.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's hard when you shoot things because you become precious to the trauma of getting that shot or this shot, and then I'm working on this other movie where it was so easy with the director. I'm just like, that's out. She's like, and I'm thinking to myself, that's how I am thinking about, it took ages to shoot that, and I've just come in and went, so yeah.
It happens on a macro level as well. As an actor filming a shot, and you're going, we did 5 takes of that, and I hope, David's going to pick the one where the lighting is great. And so for a screen actor, they're that's where the best screen actors are just consistent, but not there's a lovely, I saw a YouTube video recently of somebody talking about their work with Rutger Hauer, just how unbelievably technical he was. As he made the moonlight, I think, glint off a weapon during a shot as he walked in, and I was like, wow, that's a great shot. He'll never do that again. 6 more takes, and every time exactly the same point. And
yes,
like the guy knew, that's how you get a consistent, as an actor, that's like, how do you get the best performance on screen? Make sure it's the same best one every time, because the one you don't do, the one you fluff, that's the one, the lighting will be great.
Excellent. On that, so we mentioned, David, that I called you the Joss Whedon of Scotland, where you have this group of people, right?
I was going to say, did he not get into trouble for harassing women?
Well, let's keep that out. Let's keep that out.
Your time will come, David.
I'll take it.
on the business sense.
I'm joking.
Well, I think if that were to happen, we would be talking to Lorraine, because she would be trying to sell you up posthumously. To get that group of people that you can work with, you can call on. They're like, yep, as long as I can work it in, I'm there. That comes down to, like you were saying, you hand your script to somebody you trust. And we've talked to people out there just starting out. I think that's the most important thing to do, even before beginning this journey, is get some people that you trust, that will take what you have written and be, not hateful towards you, but honest in that, this was good, but this part here didn't care for. I think is what makes or breaks. Well, first of all, you have to have that kind of acceptance to get into this business. We tell people, you'll never make it if you're sensitive and you don't like being told no, and you don't like being told you're shit and everything in between. This is not for you.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys really take to heart when someone comes back? Like, David, you sent us a script. We read it. We knew it was a first draft, so we didn't have much color, to offer, because it's kind of like we got where it was going, and we liked the whole framework. So there's really not a lot of criticism, especially for a first draft that's not even spell corrected yet. You just don't dive into it. But either one of you, when you do this, do you have those go-to people, or have you? How has that evolved for you?
That script's probably, this is a good example of the way this worked, where I put it out to 2 sets of producers. One set, we love it, we want to make it. The other set, here is 1 billion notes of where you've went wrong. And then the next week, the guy who wrote the Michael Bay, The Island's taking the script. So I'm like, who's right? You know what I mean? And that's where it comes down to, it's just, there's so many different ways people interpret what's written on a script.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I kind of like, when, especially in Ghosts of Darkness, is I concentrate more on the structure of this, not so much the dialogue, where in the case of Ghosts of Darkness, I was more than happy. You know what I mean? You guys really changed all your dialogue. Really. You know what I mean? And put all that kind of stuff in. And in that kind of sense, I am delighted when people, come in and be like, this can be so much better. So I'm definitely not one of these people who are like, no, can't change it. But yeah. Did I go way off track there?
No.
Yeah.
I was like the first draft of the script, because characters just walk in a room and say exactly what they're feeling, thinking.
And I write like that. Every time I write a script, it's like, where am I starting and where am I going at the end of the scene? So it's So
I think this is a great idea. Well, I think this is terrible. Right, great.
But through all my experience of doing all this stuff over the years, I find actors changing the script while we're filming is so much better than other writers trying to stamp something on it. There's something about actors that obviously, because they're going to be on screen forever when they do it, but there's just a much more natural approach where it makes so much more sense to me what they're saying should be changed, as opposed to, I think we should do this because, for some stupid reason, artistic reason. Whereas an actor's like, I just think this is a better idea because of this. And it always works that way. So, yeah.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, if you've got yourself like your own script that you're talking about, I think one of the best things you can do is have a table read. It's remarkable, and also to not interrupt the table read. Go, oh, that wasn't how I envisaged it. Just let people misunderstand things and let it fall apart effectively, or have people go back over it. Just make tons of notes, because the more notes that you can make, the better the second whack will be. And also you find how weird it is to the things you write down and the things that you have a voice in your head, and you then suddenly say out loud, you think, oh, no one said, no one talks like that. That's, what am I thinking? Or you discover that the character has, something about that character. You go, oh, well, maybe they talk like this now. And that's how, like David's saying with actors, when they go through the process of writing a character or becoming a character, that a lot of the times they'll go off and write backstory for the character, just so they can habit it, or they'll adjust dialogue so that it sounds more naturalistic, so that for themselves, so that when they can seem more believable, rather than reaching for a way of doing a thing or a way of saying it, because of the script. If it doesn't affect the story or the plot, may as well iron it out so that it just falls out of their face nice and believably, and then you're like, oh, okay, great, that's get a much better result, because it is a results game, isn't it?
Yeah, and even in Redwood Massacre, Annihilation, Danielle Harris, she would just be like, I'm not saying that. You don't need to say it. I was like, okay. But she was right. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those things, actors are just more aware, in my opinion. I'm not an actor, but because they're the people on the screen, and I just find their opinions just much more logical, some even sane, compared to some of the feedback you get from other people that are like sometimes on a different planet to where you are. Like even for Paul's script, like you read out the entire script and played every character. It's just so really could.
It was really weird.
it was to see what it was in Paul's head. So if there was anything, I was kind of like, we could just talk about it there and then and get on the same page.
Yeah, so, or like you find, like I've written one of the characters with a slight German accent in my head, because it helps me. That's just how it's helped where I set everything from. It just helps me to give them that bent, and it works their dialogue.
Right.
If, however, the actor takes over and goes, so this Welsh guy, and then or whatever, I'll be absolutely hands off about that. Yeah, absolutely fine. Help yourself. That was just the tool that I used to help write it. If it's the tool that you use to help bring it to life, is another accent, go if you like, like. But it was weird to be there on a Zoom call, just going, yes, Mr. Blazer, okay. And then having to reply to myself. It's very hard.
But you did it, the whole script?
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. But I mean, even then, we ironed out stuff that maybe I wasn't catching. It was all ironed out. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I got it. You know what I mean? Straight off the bat, I'm like...
Yeah, we've said that twice. Don't need that bit there. Maybe better if this was here, or we need to cut that scene. Yeah, you were literally just going, we need to cut this scene here, and we can't. These two characters just sitting down. It's no good. One of them has to stand up and walk away.
Yeah, as opposed if we'd done this over notes, this would have been so much different, because we'd still be going back and forward. I'm like, I don't understand what's, what I mean? So it's, yeah.
Yeah, have a table read, get it brought to life, and you'll see it, and you'll suddenly get a much greater viewpoint of the whole thing, and you'll know yourself, because you've written it, you know the story, and you know what you love, and you'll just if you're anything like me, you'll just go, why did I do that? What is wrong with it? I should be better than this. But but you catch yourself before you then put it in front of someone who may or may not give you money. Which is, maybe better, because they probably won't tell you what's wrong with it.
Oh, they will.
Will they? Okay, fair enough.
So, I mean, I think I was just thinking this as you guys were talking, kind of the script to film. Film is a visual medium. I think that says a lot when it comes to why table reads are so important, why kind of seeing it and playing with it when you're there is so important. Because as a visual medium, it's very tough to see it on a written script, right? And it's kind of the same with the actors bringing the characters to life. Like that's their job, to get inside that character's head and be that person, where you as the writer have to, you know, be 8 different people while you're writing it. And it's just hard to get that much clarity when you are that, I mean, I don't want to say unfocused, right? Because writing is a very focused kind of activity, but you just don't get that same kind of clarity as you would as an actor, you know, just focusing on this one character. Like it's my job to care, you know, for you, Paul, it's my job to care about, you know, Johnathan Blazer 100%, right?
Yeah.
It's not my responsibility what Jack is doing in this scene, right?
No, right, exactly. But
so, I mean,
yeah, when you're writing it, you're sort of like, yeah, you have to. That's why I guess it takes so long. You have to go through every scene and then go through every scene, try to do it with fresh eyes and try to do it from each character's perspective and going, what would they really be thinking here? I know this is a fun line, or I know this is where it needs to go, but what would they genuinely, if they were going to act as if I'd written them, what would they genuinely be doing and thinking at this point? And would that change anything? And, you know, and you compromise with yourself whether you're sort of hammering bits in just so you can have this cool one-liner. Oh my God, it's going. That's embarrassing. Or whether you go with what their emotional thing is. Bear me a second. I'm just going to answer my question.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I hope we can see
guard
the
dog.
Oh man. I mean, you know, we can keep chatting. The screen or the table read of a screenplay, we've talked about how massively important that is. We do it, just Danny and I. Every draft of a script, we sit down. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? You're just gonna, you know, is there enough for you to do all female and I'll do male, or we break it up? Because we can sit during the writing process. Right, we got one shared document open and we're taking turns typing. Oh, I got something, and we'll go until bam. All right, what have you got? And then we'll have discussions and stuff. But then once we get that draft done, we'll read it to see how it plays. How does it hear? And just between the two of us, there's enough difference to kind of pull that off. And it's made some big improvements. Right, we've this whole section just.
I would consider those like a micro table read.
Right. But if you don't have a group of people you can go to, that if you could find one other person to read half of the script, right? Divide the characters
it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. That's just hearing one step. Because we've also, like when we were doing the pilot episode for the sci-fi series, we have a complete vision of like all the characters. Some are aliens, so obviously this is what they're going to look like, so we can picture that. And except for the main character, other than it being male, we didn't assign like an ethnicity. We didn't assign even like a speech pattern, anything, because we felt something like this, a character we feel has a primary purpose in the story. But we really feel it's the actor who is going to introduce us to that character. Mm-hmm. So that you don't like get stuck with, well, he's swaggers like John Wayne and, he's going to walk around talking like this. And it's like, oh God, please don't let that be the voice in the actor's head. That's terrible.
Got you.
But we've always thought like, when it comes to casting and stuff, if we could ever get involved in that process, it would be like, there's just that moment, there he is. That's the pirate. That there, just the way a person moves and comes in before they even hit the character are bringing something that just kind of like wakes you up. And we've talked about the importance of being that open to that kind of thing, and then letting the actor, like Danny said, it's their job to live this person, in front of that camera, trust in them, because David, your job is to direct and get the cameras where they need to be and get the people on their marks and make sure all of the stuff is working and stay on top of the budget. Paul's job is to deliver everything that you want and then what he feels is true to this particular character or moment. it's just such a
like
wonderful balance.
I would go as far as to say, maybe for me anyway, like it's not even my job to really tell the actors. I'm not an actor. This is the weird thing. Like I'm not an actor, so it always feels funny for me to say to give the direction, or it's more. I hope with you, Paul, and we've done 2 movies. Small adjustments. Is that the right word?
Yeah. Like, from an acting perspective, it's.
I know, like maybe in Dark Within, I've actually acted things out, but it's more like stuff like you come up here and then you look and you go, ah. So
I was just pretending not to know what to do, so I could make you do.
Like if you're going to be an actor, that's your job, and I think it's like for me anyway. I'm not sure for anyone who makes other movies.
We've been very lucky.
Actors.
Yeah, I think like because I'm not particularly experienced at screen. Like Ghost of Darkness was my first movie, my first real extended period of time in front of any camera, and so having a director like David who's concentrating on the technical side of things that I have very little knowledge of, it's very helpful because we both sort of fill each other's knowledge spaces. You know, we go, so like we've gone over, rewritten the dialogue, and it made it sound more like the character, and it helps me to inhabit the character and help me to do that performance. And then that's all been sort of set and done. So yeah, David doesn't really touch that afterwards. All he's caring about is like, oh, make sure your head's about 5 more degrees that way, just so we get that looks perfect and the light's there, and hit your mark and everything, and all the other sort of technical things that go with it. So because that was super helpful, because I'm not Rutger Hauer.
Not yet.
Was that kind of the question in a weird way? I'm trying to think.
The other thing with the sort of the central character of stuff, and I found this. I'm reading about why certain actors are successful, or why they're casted certain roles, and things like why Keanu Reeves is so good in The Matrix. Is because he's in a sort of a blank canvas, an empty capsule that you can project yourself onto. And as the character you follow throughout the movie, his blank wooden expression, not my words, his understated performance allow you to sort of project yourself onto him very easily. And so it helps you. You are him. You are the one. You are carried through the movie like that. Yeah. And it works very well for if you have like the central chosen one kind of epithet character, that they are, and you find that more and more sort of leading actors in Hollywood don't do an awful lot. Ryan Gosling barely registers a heartbeat. He's very good at it. He's very, very good. And it's not to say that he's not a fantastic actor, because of course he is, but like, yeah, there is something in that. Like you can write your central character completely blank, almost, just very, very, what's the word? But constructively, like rather than giving him loads of floof.
Right.
Just write it very systematically. And then, like you say, get someone who's got charisma plus 10 and pop them in, whoever that may be.
So where are we with the sequel, Ghost of Dark? I'm not going to ask if we have a name, because I know that can always change to last.
Oh, there is a name.
Oh, you do have one? And you're going to hold it?
There's 2 potential names. I tell you what, we'll ask you, because I know what. Yeah, if you were going to go onto like a streaming service or something later, and you're going to watch like a B horror movie, as you want to do, would you rather watch The House Where Hell Broke Loose, or Demons, 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 Demons?
Oh man.
I will say, for me, those present 2 very different expectations.
Yes.
Of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So The House Where Hell Broke Loose, I can see that as almost like Ghost of Dark, a more subtle setting. Probably a little bit of a ramp.
It would actually be called Johnathan Blazer,
Would it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I mean,
I
don't. We've been spitballing like these names for ages, so there's no. Don't feel like you. If you like, I hate both of them. Absolutely.
No. I think demons would lead me to. This is going to be. Honestly, I would think if I'm going to hit play on this without reading anything about it, I'm going to be brought into a movie that's one's going to be fast paced, just lots of stuff. And I would not expect much of a story more than just like a borderline gore fest. And, there'll be a requisite something.
Right. Yeah. The House Where Hell Broke Loose to me feels a lot more serious, a lot more kind of like buttoned down. This is going to be a real classic horror film.
But something big because, when hell breaks loose, gives you that feeling that it's going to blossom.
See, this is the problem. I don't know with Paul, though. If I sent a film to the distributor called Demons, in 6 months' time, there would be a film come out called Ghost Hunters. And I'd be like, what's Ghost Hunters? Oh my God, it's our film. They've changed the name. It's like, remember with Ghost of Darkness, we had different names, and remember the distributor started sending examples of titles for the movie, and we're just like, oh my God, we got to come up with a name for this very quickly before.
Somebody come up with something, for God's sake.
Ghost of Darkness was the least worst out of the pot somehow.
Well, the small sort of. It's not even really a spoiler. Like Tom, the other guy writing on it, this just a testament to how funny he is. Like the end of the movie sets up the next Johnathan Blazer movie set at a fun fair called "Scream If You Want to Die Faster."
Nice.
Just a title.
It is good.
We just don't have the budget for a fun fair. Otherwise, we do that movie now.
I just know how these people work when it comes to distribution, and I'm just.
I know. It's fun. They do it at the end of every Bond movie, so it sort of seemed like the fun thing to do. To sort of, you know what, we're teeing up the next one. I don't care if it doesn't even get written. So yeah, those are the two titles that are sort of floating around. Everyone's leaning more towards The House Where Hell Broke Loose, but I'm not precious. I think something will present itself. It'll be
Ghost Hunters. That's what
Ghost Hunters.
No.
Oh man,
that was actually one of the names for Ghost of Darkness that we got given. We'll call it Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they are hunting. No, we got to come up with a different name.
Well, it's one of those things too. I mean, if you could always work, and I know some people have done this. They've taken like the original title that they started with, and they've worked it into the film somehow. So, Johnathan could reach into his bag and pull out another book on demons, and it could be demons. Just right there, big on the screen.
I think can make a note of that. That's going in.
Or even a shirt, right?
He definitely mentioned demons a lot in the script.
Yeah, well, the sort of it's part of the fabric of it, and it came down to like Tom is predominantly he writes sketches and short films. You might know him. He was on Project Greenlight. It was his sort of the early thing a few years ago, which was Matt Damon and Ben Affleck make a movie reality show. So he was one of the actors used in it by director. So he was flown out from London, went to LA, and ended up in the movie and stuff.
Season 3, I think it was, wasn't it?
Is it series 3? Yeah, the movie was called The Leisure Class, and he's very funny in it. But yeah, so he went away and wrote this sort of sketch about Johnathan Blazer and about the this idea of demons. So a lot of the dialogue is like he's him going, "It's demons," and they go, "Are you sure, Johnathan? Demons seems like a bit of a leap." He's like, "No, it's demons." And so the word demons is in the script. Like it's got to be on every page, surely.
That's the requisite.
Yeah.
So where are you guys? David, you had mentioned that there'd be funding for this, but you might still have to go out and bring your own bucket of money. What's the plan?
I think we're going to be able to raise enough money to shoot the movie. I mean, they've already they put forward a woman for one of the main characters, so like hearing that is more positive for me, because I'm like, okay, it's progressing. So right now we're just waiting for the guy's partner to read the script and get back with notes, and then from there it's more, okay, are we going to shoot the movie, yes or no? Yeah. But I think we're going to need to do a crowdfunder to maybe push it through some of the post-production.
Okay.
For like effects and all that. It's just quite hard to justify some of the stuff in the script to someone giving money. You know, like, well, why can't you just take that out, save some money?
Right.
So that's where we're at. So, but I think if we get the film in the can, so to speak, you know, it's naturally going to just complete itself. Okay. Like music, getting someone to score the movie, that's going to be that's going to be part of the crowdfunding.
Okay.
So it's stuff like that.
Yeah. Crowdfunding is becoming such a big part of everything these days. It's like, it's not quite taken off with movies as much as I'd thought it would have done. Like board games almost lives on crowdfunders these days. And various sort of nerdy paraphernalia all begin their life on crowdfunders because it works. It's such a good marketing tool. It was a great idea of like, how to raise money for your private little, thing that you were going to make. Great idea for creatives. But then actually, no, this is fantastic. You can be in touch with everybody who's interested in your thing. You can give them insight, knowledge, give them little prizes, draw them into the idea of it. And obviously it's just a nice, fast way of buying the film, which we assume people would want to do,
So, and it might not even come to that. So,
okay. So we don't have to do anything to help you out yet. No links, no campaigns.
Not yet. But I mean, the good thing about the campaign is, like I said, the Ghost of Darkness, the first one, it's through pirating, I guess. It's like I got maybe 12,000 new subscribers on YouTube just by posting the movie on there. So it's people have seen it. It's like one of those things. It just, like when we were pulling down illegal copies of my other films, there's hundreds of versions of Ghost of Darkness, all called by better names, believe it or not, Paul. How they try to disguise you finding it. Like,
where are these guys? And you need them. That's it. We'll crowdfund it. Like, if you give us, 10 grand, you can name the film.
But big views, millions and millions of views on the Ghost of Darkness. It's just one of those films you never hear of. I could have, it felt like we made it and it just disappeared. But for good or bad, people have seen it. So, ish.
If I go to Russia, it would be, here's Johnathan Blazer.
Because I know Michael, like when I put the remastered version up, he says every week people are contacting him about Ghost of Darkness. So it's like it's floating about. So we've got like a little core audience if we did do a crowdfunder. So it's
that's good.
That's amazing.
I mean, we talked about this in the episode that we did on it. Is why you aren't being annoyed by the number of people banging on your door to work with you, give you money to make things, because we have nothing to gain or lose. We could tell you you're shit, or we could tell you you're great, and it doesn't change our lives. But you are just that good. And
well, I can tell you why. with that Ben and Sarah story, when we were pitching and they were going through the budget, and they had their cast. I had my cast and they had their cast, and there was an argument, and then they reminded me exactly where I was and told me not the box office, how much my movies have made. So they were like, this is where you are. This is where we are. You know what I mean? So they made it clear that, they're not banging down my door because the movies just don't make much money.
See, and that's the thing is I don't know. I guess it falls into everything in this business. There's like a luck factor. There were movies that came out that we've seen that we didn't even hear about when they came out. And these are A movies, not tentpole, but close. And we're like, why didn't this get talked about? Why did this end up on the bargain shelf, for the DVDs? It's brilliant. And it's always timing. You can go back and look at a lot of really great films that didn't do well, and there's always something that overshadowed it, or it was a bad deal or bad distributor.
or bad marketing.
Yeah, bad marketing, or what happened to you. I think it was. I don't know if you got paid from the Germany guys yet. I know
never get paid.
But that was the one where didn't they whack it up and like actually almost do like a re-edit on the film? I thought there was a
Redwood Massacre.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still on their movie channels in Germany. So it's they totally butchered the movie. But yeah, that's a sore one because I can still see it.
It won't go away.
There are TV things and all that, but yeah, no, it's just pot luck. I think that everyone, they go by how much, they really do look at how much money the movies are making, regardless if the movies look good or sound good or a good story. They just, like, even for Redwood Massacre 2, he didn't watch the first one. He just looked at the figures and based on that alone was like, here's the money to do the second one. So
see, and I don't know. I mean, I guess the formula sort of works because there are people who've been in business and stay in business as producers and stuff in Hollywood. But I always thought, like, if we had the money to fund you or to fund anybody, my first thing is, I want to see your work, and then I would, look at the numbers. But then I would look at what the bigger picture, who did the distribution, where did this go, what was, how did this not get seen, or was it massively exposed and nobody was interested? I would like do the full thing, and I think I would intelligently gamble on this director, his stuff is good, and then we got this guy Paul, he nailed this, right? And he doesn't have this long IMDb thing, but you know what? I like where this is going, and I'm going to put money in to make sure this gets where it needs to be.
I think that the producer we've got, hopefully, for Ghost of Darkness 2 is more along those lines for 1,000,000%.
That'd be awesome.
Like, actually cares, like how to make the movie the better, whatever. But I think in general, my experience and people I know that make other movies, generally the people that put money into these low-budget indie films, it's not really they have no interest in the actual movies. It's some kind of, like, I don't know, maybe a tax, I'll put money, here's my tax write-off for the year or whatever. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. Did their last movie do good? Yeah, okay, I'll put some money. If it fails, it doesn't. If it does, I'll make some money. So it's like one of those.
It's my kid. Put my kid in the movie.
Yeah. I'll put some money into this, but you got to do this thing.
Yes.
And that'll be, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of that in the post. But again, if we do, having the crowdfunder helps you keep a bit of control over certain amounts of it, or we'll see.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Well, the good thing is, if it's money for post-production, then that's really where you can get messed up by people. If they have a vague interest in how your film is and they want to put their claws into your movie, it's the post-production where they can really get you. So by having a crowdfunder, we're paying for the post. You know what I mean? We're the ones seeing it through. So,
well, if it comes to that and you're doing it, I mean, we will obviously push everything we can to get everyone's attention on it, because we want to see this thing, as soon as possible. We've talked about how in indie film, it's 3 to 5 years. That's how long a project takes, because everybody's doing it nights and weekends and in between paying bills and getting up and going to work. And I mean, we haven't written in probably 6 months. Yeah. We did a little research, but it's just been, life just jumps up, and then you realize
that's right. Yeah.
Haven't been to it. And, now things are starting to trickle back in where our research for a script that we want to do is starting to move forward. Because one of our emails got placed in someone's spam pile, and it was an important communication. So they found it and reached out to us. But that's what this is about, right? B-Siders. We talk about stuff. We talk about upcoming projects, and, so here's what you can do. Listeners, go to Clear Focus Movies YouTube channel and watch everything, and watch it and watch it and watch it and watch it, right? What else have you got to do? If you're fucking around on YouTube all day, you've got time to play a bunch of movies.
And they're good.
Yeah, these are good. And they're from gory, scary to fun, which is interesting. So I started a new job, and out of the blue, talking to one of my coworkers, we're all remote, but we were in a chat. She's seen Attack of the Herbals like 4 times. Just randomly found it.
That's probably a record.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? You've seen? She goes, oh yeah, I love it. This, that. I'm like, well, interestingly, we have some interviews with that gentleman and some people. And we're always trying to push things, not just for David, but everybody and what they do, because that's like our biggest sorrow of doing this podcast is that we even have to bring things to people's attention. But, there's just so many things out there. And I think people are still afraid to commit to, taking the left-hand path. Let's watch an indie film. Let's dive into this B movie like we're serious about it. And,
and I got to say, the good thing about the movies on my YouTube channel is I'm not even allowed to put the movies on YouTube. So there you go.
Someone else is doing it. You might as well. Yeah.
I'm sure one day, one of them is going to get back. Like, you better take that.
I have a question that we had wanted to ask about. So this is the remastered version. Now, towards the end, one of the things that creeped me out the most about this movie, and it's just a personal thing with me, is the eyes. The weird.
Liam's
eyes.
That. Oh my God, that just about fucking did me in, because anything with eyes creeps me.
I loved it. Thought it was great.
But I was going to ask, was anything done in the remastering? Did you reapply anything, or was that all original and you just like?
Liam can just do that. It's just
you know that Liam hates that because it was done in post-production. But no, for the remastered version, it was just the color grade and sound. So the guy that did the story about the guy doing the special effects, I think we're all pretty disappointed when we saw the end. We were just kind of watching it like this. But he did kind of do a good job on the people, like in most of the shot. The guy that did the makeup was okay. He was good, but he really did do a good job adding in all this, like trying to mix it up. It took him about 5 years to do, but no, never changed Liam's face. I'll be glad to mention that because he hates that. He really hated that we changed the way he looked in the movie. I didn't even find that out. I never find that out until maybe like 4 months ago. I was talking about your script or whatever, and he's like, I can't believe you changed my eyes in that movie. I was like, what?
You tell him he's in the new one?
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously we've got to have Liam in the new one. He's in there. Don't worry.
He goes, well, how big's the script? I was like, you're mute.
He's basically mute, apart from maybe one little scene, but we'll see.
Well, that's the fun for us with Liam as some sort of Easter egg. Is he going to be live action? Is he going to speak? Is he going to just be a picture? Is he going to be a disembodied voice over the phone?
He's going to be. What do we get? A good part actually in your script. You know what I mean? He's prominent and he's not the henchman. He's like a burly henchman, but he's like the right hand man of one of the main characters. So he gets to do quite a lot. And I've written a couple of bits in there where he talks and things, but we'll see if we dub him. I'll dub him.
You dub him.
Annoy him.
Oh, that would be so funny. And do it with like a U.S. Southern Georgia. Big Liam comes out and, hey y'all, how's it going?
Oh my God, it's happened before. I've dubbed someone and forgot to tell them in movies. So,
really?
Yeah. In fact, I had a conversation with an actor that was in Redwood Massacre 2. We were talking about this other movie. He was the guy that was tied up while Damien Puckler was raping his dead wife.
Oh yes.
But we got Liam to not dub him. Liam was the guy that was like doing all the whimpering. And it only occurred to me, and I was talking to him, I was like, did you watch the scene? And he kind of like subtly brought it up that wasn't his acting. So I was like, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, oh shit. Yeah, we dubbed you.
Whoops.
That happens, yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Johnathan Blazer has
Talk to me.
and he has an extended life in the sequel. And you mentioned you had some like different thoughts. Do you see this as becoming like a mini franchise? And I ask because of the way you say you wrote this, as it could be a one-off where you could just watch it and you don't have to be involved. And it did remind me back of like the old Sherlock films with Basil Rathbone and just a lot of those things, even like the Charlie Chan. Not a lot of stuff carried over. Everything could be taken on its one moment in that character's life. Because I think Johnathan Blazer is the kind of figure, that we could get T-shirts and signing booths at Comic-Cons and, stuff where it's just a fun character. I would love to see a progressive, either be it film or maybe, would you write something for the stage to...
You did. Remember, you did. You did do a stage.
Yeah. So I did for a little fringe festival a few years ago. I wrote a Johnathan Blazer sort of live show, which with the greatest will in the world was underprepared, but a lot of fun. But also hard to do as a sort of self-aware character in a and very little in the way of like being able to do genuine scares or anything. But yeah, it had a life there. Which helped me write some more stuff about him and for him. And then I wrote a version of this guy. I wrote a version of a movie for him way before this. It includes literally nothing from the sequel, and it became about. It was sort of that sort of thing. He was an ancillary character in his own film. It was more about this lady whose mother had been murdered. But she didn't know it was a murder. It was put down as an accidental death. But her mother's ghost talked to Johnathan Blazer, and he was in the middle of doing like his stupid kooky seance, like cold reading thing. And this actual ghost turns up, and this girl just happens to be in the audience. And he's like, "Oh, I'm speaking to your dead mother." And she's like, she didn't know. And then the phone rings. And it's the news that her mum's been killed. And it's like this sort of like, oh shit moment. And it was like, so from that moment, he's like, well, I feel responsible. I'm going to get involved. I'll investigate it for you. It was also funny, but that's quite obviously there's that sort of like, it was the origin of how he got his powers as well. There was a sort of a version of that in there. And so, yeah, I've been knocking along with this character since Ghost of Darkness, sort of coming up with ideas for TV shows or how you'd work it into the structure of a TV series or whatever. And then we sort of sat down and did a basic version for the sequel using the same house and working out how that would fit in and how that would work, and it's got to this stage. But yeah, I would delight in the idea of it being a bit more of a franchise and going to Comic-Con and having signings and people walking around in tweed and and you get cosplayers, wandering around. He has got the sort of that sort of Doctor Who, Sherlock Holmes kind of energy to it. It is that,
And I'd say 90% of the reviews when it first came out, someone would always at some point say, "We'd like to see more from your character," which is something we probably shouldn't have ignored at the time. Obviously, the film kind of just went, disappeared. Right. But it shows you people really did like your character. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Horror heads are up for like, I'll follow this fun guy around. We'll have some blood and some killing and that, but we'll follow the fun guy having some japes and then a murder. Lovely. Yeah.
I could see a series with him as in like a mockumentary format.
Call it Ghost Hunters.
Right? Yeah, call it Ghost Hunters. Where, it's procedural thing, call, find out the thing, and then the big twist kind of deal. But I think it would be awesome to do it in like a mockumentary style, because I always feel those for this kind of character, instead of like diving into the character and making a real formatted, TV series, to give that looseness, to give that real world stuff, you know, shit dropping in the background, you know, microphone falling, and him, you know, having his moments of, you know, oh, this is all fucking rubbish. This is just, this isn't doing, you know, kind of thing. And to just kind of be him, because I think that's the thing about this character. I'm not interested in seeing him in situations. I'm just interested in seeing him and the situations that come to him. Which I don't know if I worded that correctly, but to me, it's a huge difference. They're polar opposites. Noodle on that, guys, because I think the world would love to embrace Johnathan Blazer and his lifestyle and his happenings, his musings. You know,
what we do in the
how does he butter his bread?
So like following the camera crew on a ghost hunt, and they're expecting like, I can hear a child crying. And I know poltergeists and full-on ghosts are all happening. It's fine. Just sit down.
I would love it. So, guys, what is going on as we come to the end of this? And we'll start with Paul. What's going on with you? What things do you have active or
things
that you want to plug or bring, you know, get people's eyes onto what's going on?
Wow. It's weird. I don't have an awful lot going on of my own at this end of the year. So I'm sort of currently working on immersive theatre and escape rooms and stuff over in the UK. But just keep your eyes peeled on clear focus on this. I'm really, really chuffed with the script and where it is at the moment, and it will require more work and will require more sort of like more hands on it and things like that. In terms of like, the sort of second, third draft where it is, it's in a very good place. I'd be very excited to see it made. So yeah, keep tabs on that. That would be my top tip.
Absolutely, excellent, David.
What I'm doing now. Right now, I'm doing the sound for a Danielle Harris movie.
Oh,
so
awesome.
If I survive that, which there's a chance I might not before killing myself, but just to push. I've got that Ben and Sarah film that's ticking away. They were going to shoot it, believe it or not. And then apparently this guy did the island. There's opportunity for more money. So the film's, I think it's April, something like that. I'm not sure. So it's just the waiting game and trying to start other projects. I mean, I can't tell you how many of maybe 3 now were being cancelled because of COVID and all that. And then they just disappear. It's one of those things, you know. So I'm going to just push for the Ghost of Darkness, the Johnathan Blazer movie.
Get everyone to watch Garth Marenghi again. Get in the mood.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh my God! Have you seen that, guys? Garth Marenghi.
Oh. Never seen Garth Marenghi? Oh my God! You guys are in for a real treat.
It's like what you do in the shadows, but like an even funnier version of that. I would say, kind of.
It was done ages ago. We'll send him a link over thing. So it's a comedy thing done in the UK ages ago. So it's. But before, about the time DVDs started coming out, so before you had the DVD commentary, they had written this thing for TV, which was effectively too short. So in order to lengthen it, they started doing interviews with the actors in between the sort of takes. But it's not. It's all sort of 3 things deep. So you've got the actors in the TV show who are being played by the characters in the TV show are being played by the writers who are that's also a character being played by the actor. The actual writer. So there's sort of 3 layers to it, and it's all done in this sort of like 80s horror, really like budget style. It's wonderful. It's
all ADR'd, like the set falling apart, that kind of thing.
Everything that it's so good. Everything
sounds right up our alley.
Yeah.
Everything they've done everything wrong really well. Like, sound cues come in slightly too loud, and just everything is brilliant. Yeah, Garth Marenghi, go and check it out. You will.
I'll send a link. I'll send a link, guys, because it's worth checking out.
Awesome. Oh, he's writing it down.
I make my notes. I make my notes.
I'll send you one YouTube clip, and off that one YouTube clip, you'll know exactly how this whole series is going to play out. That's how clever it is.
Yeah, it's just one. Yeah, it's one of those things that everyone who is into comedy over in the UK, it's like it's everyone's favourite TV show that it died of death on TV, but everybody knows anything about comedy loves it. Do you remember one story? His girlfriend's turning into broccoli. Yeah, alien spores come down and they infect the hospital, and a girl is next to a vent and she gets infected and turns into broccoli.
And he's like, we're gonna have to boil her.
I'm sold.
She's all yours. She passes away, but she's all yours, boys. And two chefs come in and push her out. Really one, but it's sort of a British take on American thing, because they're all doctors, but they all have guns. It's just how we feel American TV works. You can't do a thing unless you have a gun. The gun is the make things right tool of America, of American TV.
I'm gonna have to watch it again. Honestly.
That's an absolutely fair assessment.
It is, yeah.
Absolutely.
Completely fair.
Well, I mean, we stick with streaming services instead of cable because we have more access to UK shows, and we would rather exclusively, like if we could get all of BBC and Sky and everything and just have that all coming in, that's where we would spend our time. Growing up, my grandfather was born on the boat over here from Ireland, so he grew up with his father, who had a very, very, UK sense of entertainment, and from radio shows to TV, and my grandfather carried that over, and that's kind of where I picked it up. And I just loved when BBC stuff would make it to public television channels here. I was like, oh yeah, let's get into some of this. Are You Being Served? And just all these wonderful shows. And that's kind of where we come up with our stories. We always have that sort of take on things. And American television mostly sucks and has sucked so bad. So we're definitely gonna look into this. Another edition.
It's getting better. It's getting better. The cat's out of the bag about Ted Lasso now, but I was watching that not so long ago.
Oh,
and
so good.
A friend of mine's, a guy I used to know quite well, is one of the characters and one of the writers in it. And so it's a bit of a sort of culture shock when you're like, we used to have the same agent, and now you've won an Emmy. But fair enough, because he's very good. But that's a lovely show for whole different reasons.
What is that? I keep on hearing that name.
So it's the American football coach. The American football coach comes over. It's Jason Sudeikis. He comes over and coaches the British football team. It feels like a joke that should run dry really quickly.
Yeah,
right.
And so, but what it really is he is a relentlessly positive influence on everyone around him. And everyone slowly but surely cracks, breaks, and falls in love with him.
Including the audience.
Cynical British people.
Yeah.
Just end up going, I hate liking you.
I'll check it out. Yeah, because I keep on hearing it, and I'm like, what's Ted Lasso? What the hell is that?
Yeah,
it's incredible, David.
Yeah, we were late to the game because the same thing. We're like, well, how
it's about sports.
Yeah. How long is this going to go on?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But we fell in love with it. We're like, God damn, that was good. Let's watch the next episode.
Just sitting there crying my eyes out.
Is it better than the hit show Below Deck on Netflix?
I have not seen Below Deck, but yes, I would say yes.
Haven't got to it yet. Here's the
don't get to it. But I can't stop watching it.
Here's the thing with Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is not a network show. So we have ABC, CBS, NBC, the three networks. It's an Apple TV production. So Apple TV Studios. Yeah. So technically it's a streamer production. And we have found streamer productions, particularly those out of South Korea, have been just killing it with great production, technically great production, good stories, just really fun. We don't like anything that is American network or American studio, like Hollywood studio, kind of just has been for the last few years falling short against all the streamers and independent studios. That's what I'm going to call them. I mean, Netflix is huge, but it's an independent studio. It doesn't have any pull for the theaters, right?
What did you think? Did you watch the Squid Games?
Not yet. It's on our list.
It was good.
We're trying to push through Foundation, which is on Apple TV. So Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, they finally put it in film, and I'm impressed. I've read all the books ages back when I was little, and yeah, that's kind of the thing. Also, too, when you were talking about watching independent films on Amazon, we had mentioned once that Amazon seems to be getting a little light on that. We used to find all kinds of stuff.
Oh, they got rid of, maybe it started 2 years ago. When they first started, they took all the indie movies in, and then they lowered the cost of what they were putting out. And then boom, as soon as they got their subscribers, got rid of most of them. Like Attack of the Herbals used to be on there.
Right.
And that got eliminated.
See, yeah, we've been going to Tubi for almost all things independent, because and we've talked to a few people who are like, Tubi is really good. You put your movie on there, you get paid more than a penny,
I think Ghost of Darkness is on the Tubi. I'm sure it is.
Was on Amazon. Yeah.
I thought I saw it.
I know we watched it on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, we watched it off the YouTube channel because
it actually
also didn't want to do the commercials.
The weird thing about Ghost of Darkness is it got all, like, at the time I was like, I got Redbox and it got Hulu, that's normal. And then it wasn't until the film after that where I got none of them. I was like, wow, it did quite. Ghost of Darkness got, even though it did not that great.
Yeah, I think Amazon is like trying to become like an art house. They want to stick to like bigger stuff in their stuff.
Amazon,
which is sad.
It's when like you see Jeff Bezos, that's what you think, isn't it? You think art house. This guy's doing small things.
I mean, he really took advantage of all the indie film. He took as much of the content as he could, and then as soon as it got bigger, he stripped all it away. Back towards the studio.
Yeah.
And
they stuck all their thing into their two big series, on their two big fantasy series. They've got the Lord of the Rings one, and what's the one that's just come out? Is that
the Wheel of Time?
The Wheel of Time. Is that Amazon?
That is Amazon.
Yes.
That is Amazon, yeah. And if they're unlucky with both of them, that might sink that whole thing, because there's so much money.
Attack of the Herbals will be back on Amazon, Paul.
yeah, we'll be back.
Maybe with a slightly better percentage for you too.
Whether or not everyone's just like, whether or not Game of Thrones just killed fantasy for everybody.
I know. I'm sure they're filming that up in Scotland and England, Lord of the Rings, the series now, because you can't get into New Zealand.
There's a Dungeons and Dragons movie that's been filming as well. There was that whole weird thing in the summer where it was really hard to find actors who could ride horses. So I run a show that has a joust in it. And it's really hard to get like combat actors who could ride horses. They're all doing one of 3 films. Okay. I need some jousters, please.
Yeah, I think the UK has done good. We had Indiana Jones was up in Edinburgh and all over Scotland, England.
Batman was in Glasgow, wasn't it?
Well, we know a few jousters if you want to fly them out to the UK.
Yeah. I mean, it's the horses. They require a couple of plane seats for the horses. That's
that might be problematic.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know you went to the Ren fairs and stuff over there?
Yeah, we're regulars at them. So
great.
Yeah. Well, with the exception of the last couple of years, obviously, problems, COVID and stuff. But we've gone, and our daughter's been raised going there, and it's the perfect place to just like, role play, kick in, or even just kick back, look like you're part of the scenery. Because we love it when people mistake us for actual employees of the Ren Fair,
which has happened several times.
Yeah, in fact, we actually got to stay after they closed. We ordered like on the way out, we quick grab dinner because we'd watched like the 3rd joust of the day, and we're just sitting at the table, and nobody thought to ask us to leave or something. And then they had the final sweep come through, and the guy comes through and goes, "Hey, don't mean to bother you, but can I just see your cards?" I'm like, what?
Is that like remember the movie Cable Guy? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And they were doing the jousting, and everyone's sitting watching them eating their dinner. Is that what you guys are talking about?
No. That's medieval times. That's a whole restaurant experience.
I went to one of them. I actually
we've been to those too.
In a European country.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Nope. This is just outdoor, standard, bleacher, wooden, stands, the sawdust and everything. Yeah, they just come out and they actually do the joust thing, and then there's the queen who, awards for the skills tests and stuff. Because the whole thing with the Renaissance Fair, it's Elizabethan period, so you have the queen in her court and stuff. Medieval times is a whole horse show. I mean, those horses are beautiful. Not that these ones aren't, but this is small fry stuff.
Yeah, no, we don't really have Ren fairs in this country, but we have a couple of things like it. And so I work at I'm the creative director of a place that we're basically putting an immersive theatre into what was effectively a kind of Ren fair, an English kind of Ren fair. It's not quite got the get up and go of sort of American Ren fairs. So it's sort of, I mean, I'm sort of slowly infecting it with actors and storylines, and you wander around and there's people just having arguments and just go, "Hey, love, do you want to buy some apples?" And all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what they do. Here.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
They'll have mock sword fights, a duel.
Yeah, and all that stuff. Where characters being locked up in towers and kids having to figure out how to bust them out doing jailbreaks.
Or throw tomatoes at them. That's a big hit.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Whereabouts are you guys based?
So we're in Madison, Wisconsin.
So, we're like top middle of the United States.
Okay, I get it.
2 hours north of Chicago.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah.
The guy who owns ours used to go to do all the ones in Maryland.
Oh,
okay.
There. So there's some massive ones in Europe, but we are like small fry and sort of slowly getting there with this.
Well, that's okay, because it's a big fair, but it's kind of small compared to some of the big grander things going on.
Yeah, but ours is about the size of a small village, like a small town.
Yeah, the whole grounds. Cool. And then people usually just go to kind of like soak it in. We've been asked many times. People have taken so many pictures with us because we're in our outfits that we spend a lot of time and effort to put into, and that feels good. But Ren fairs are fun to be in and to observe.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, so you guys are about to get Secret Cinema are about to hit LA. It's this thing we've had over here for years. Started off as a night out. They'd take you to an unknown location in London. They'd give you some clues, and then they'd show you a cool retro movie. And they wouldn't tell you what the movie was. They'd just give you some clues as to what it was. And it's sort of built from there. It became like this big immersive thing. So they would start doing like Blade Runner. And then you go there and you spend 2 hours in this world. They'd recreate the world of Blade Runner, a set. There'd be actors, set pieces, stuff going on, bars, food, everything running around.
Oh, nice.
And then you sit down and watch the movie. And in LA, they're just about to open Arcane, that a Netflix series that's based on League of Legends.
League of Legends.
So that's opening. That's their first live production.
That's really cool
in America. It's amazing, and also it will be better in America because you guys are far more up for it. A friend of mine was directing for them out in LA during the pandemic. They were doing a drive-in production, and in the UK, all the bar staff, everyone who works at Secret Cinema is encouraged to take on a character. And if you're working bar in the UK, you're getting paid nothing, and you're a teenager, and they're like, "Hey, could you be like a character?" I was like, "No."
That sounds like the UK.
But in America, you're like going, "Hey, look, here's $7 an hour. Can you be a character?" Can I? Like everyone's well up. Yeah. So
if it's weird, we're up for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So hit a Secret Cinema, and as soon as you get a chance, they're really good fun. They're not cheap, but they are fun.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'd be up for that too.
Comes up around here, or if we end up over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Blade Runner. It rained indoors.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Nice.
Just this whole raining section indoors. Like you just stand in it, and it just constantly raining. It's amazing.
Yeah, we're gonna hunt some of these things down. Check them out.
Yeah, definitely.
I
think with all that, we've taken up so much of your time, and it has been just an absolute delight talking to you both.
Oh, thanks for watching the movie. But it's not like we're giving you a 2021. Yeah.
And then owning up to it and saying things.
Oh man. Yes, we watched it, and listeners know that it was awesome, and we're going to keep pushing it. And we'll keep bringing this up because, yeah, we want to see what's going to come next, and we want to see this become the best it can be. And it's just fun being a part of it, even on that far periphery. To try and push something through to get one more person to look at it and go, huh. Because it could be an email, it could be one more like, one more view, one more share that tips the scale a bit in favor of more money, a more solid commitment, anything. So yeah, we are here to do whatever. You guys can reach out and hey, this is going to come out. Can you do this? We'll put it. But you got to remember, we chose to do a podcast and make YouTube channels and start a production company with an audience that big.
Yeah,
we have chosen the smallest niche audience, I think, to pursue anything with. But
just like our films, Paul, I guess.
At least they all, they all agree with you, though, don't they?
Pretty much.
There's not many of them, but they agree the shit out of everything you say. It's great.
There we go. And we do have some UK fans. Yeah, we get like about 100 listeners per episode over there.
Cool.
Yeah. One guy even wrote us. He's like, "Thank you. This is he lives like in central London, and he has to go somewhere. I'm sure it's a far drive because he has long enough to listen to our whole podcast on the way out there for work every day. So, hey, happy to help."
That's cool.
Listeners, we are going to put some links to a lot of stuff
in the show notes.
Just to keep out there, keep looking, get your feet wet if you haven't already. And see some good stuff, see this wonderful performance with Paul, and put some of Paul's past stuff out there too. So anything that we can, we like to fill it in. You know how it goes. And hopefully within a few months, we'll be doing this again, sitting and chatting and talking about how things are going. Yes.
That'd be amazing.
That would be awesome.
I know.
It's getting made, but I mean, a younger guy.
Oh man. So we want to thank you both so very much. We're always very appreciative of the time that you guys give, that anyone gives us, really, because it's just so much fun. And so folks, we're gonna put links to Ghosts of Darkness, everything, and then we'll keep some updates on what's going on with the production, pre-production, and then into production of the sequel and everything else. So, thank you again, gentlemen. It has been fantastic.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was David Ryan Keith and Paul Flannery.
Yes, it was.
Ghosts of Darkness. We all know David. And we had this lovely introduction to Paul, who I cannot wait for further conversations with him as well.
What a cool guy.
I mean, he is just amazing. And I can see how Johnathan Blazer came to life on the screen, because, you can't accidentally have a good character if you're not a great actor.
Yeah. I mean, I also think it says something that he kind of fell in love with the character and stayed with him.
Yeah.
And tried to bring him into other things.
This could be the beginning of something
beautiful. And
we're in on it.
Yeah.
The Johnathan Blazer craze.
Yeah.
Books, movies. I left my email open again. That's all right.
The Chronicles of Johnathan Blazer.
Yeah. Comic books. I can see this going a lot of places because it is such a fun character. And the supernatural presents, there's a lot of comics out there based on the supernatural. Let's not the least of which is Doctor Strange.
Sure.
Who in his beginnings, man, that was motherfucker. Hold on.
You got a lot of emails coming in, my darling.
Oh, it's, just people wanting to sell me shit. Okay.
Because it's like Black Friday weekend as we record, the crow flies.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So there we go. Bad radio.
Yeah. You were accusing me of that earlier.
I was. Yes. Anyway, I just thought I'd live it and show it. Now you have an example. Don't do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Doctor Strange had a rough time It was not a wildly popular comic. It was popular amongst people who were into the psychedelic stuff.
Sure.
Right? But they really struggled to find where to put him, because sometimes there are some, shall we call, I don't know what you call each year. Let's just say there were some runs where it went way off. You know, they really tried to like grab that crowd and realize, well, that crowd's interested, but they're not really comic book people. So we need to swing it back to the comic book people, but keep it, you know, otherwise we just have a different superhero if we change him.
Sure.
But anyway, I think Johnathan Blazer would be awesome. You know, just.
Well, yeah, he's like like we talked about in the episode, kind of like a Sherlock Holmes, but with ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited to see where this is going to go, especially with a sequel and everything.
And I love talking to them. I always have such wonderful chats with the people. Like, and even after we stop recording, we always chat with people.
Oh yeah, we just like last time. We went another 40 minutes after we hit stop. And it's also cool for us, things we can't talk about,
right?
Because it's off air, and you know,
that's where we learn all the hot goss.
Yeah, I mean, we fully respect, you know, our guests and our friends' requests for, you know, I don't say this to anybody, don't share this, and we don't, we haven't, we won't,
never will.
But it's nice talking about it.
Oh yeah,
you know, and you know, some of the things that go on that they talk about, just some listeners, I wish we could share it with you, because sometimes we're almost pissing our pants. It's just so much fun, and they're so funny.
Gosh,
anyway,
such a tease.
Hey, we're privy to some information. I'm not ashamed or averse to gloating.
Wow. Wow. All right. Well.
So yeah, show notes. I will have stuff in there. Just keep listening. We will update on this progress for the sequel and what's going on, where they are. We'll just, you know, ping David here and there. David did ask if we wouldn't mind coming on. He's thinking of doing a show.
Yeah.
Or actually not so much a show, but just YouTube bits to put stuff up on his channel to keep content going, you know, and talk to us about what we do and, you know, helping out when we can. So we may be on there because we'd love to do it for David. Yeah, just like always, we will keep the info out there, and you know, let's get the blood going. So when this bad boy hits, we all go to see it or rent it.
Light this fire.
Light it up. But in the meantime,
check out our website,
www.lordsofmisrollproductions.com.
All the stuff is there. I mean,
yep,
you know.
It's all there. And you know, folks, if you're just coming in, go down the list. If you go to the website, I mean, we're on, you know, it has all the subscription play. We're on Apple, Google, that, blah, 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 blah. But if you go to our website, everything is there on the podcast page. Scroll all the way down, and you get episode 1, Bad Taste. You can just scroll up. You don't have to hit next or anything, and just go up and see the movies we've covered. See the interviews we've talked to.
Yeah.
Look at the previous David interviews with him and Liam, and and him and Liam, and Liam.
Yeah, there have been a few with
David.
Yeah.
And Stephen, you know, just a lot of stuff. And we've had some really great people. You know, I don't even know where Tucky.
There's too many. Go check them out.
Yeah.
Go check out the website. If you want some merch, we got it there. If you want a blog, we got it there. If you want social media links and ways to contact us, it's all there. Check it out.
Also, the BF McGillicuddy page has all of the current. Did I put that one up? I didn't, because I just posted yesterday. Shit. By the time you hear this, it'll be up. All the current episodes on for BF McGillicuddy, and everything.
I think that'll about do it.
Yeah, give ratings, reviews if you can, but ratings are important on all your platforms, whatever you're listening on. Please subscribe to whatever, right?
If you want episodes a week early, you can be a patron.
Yeah, check out our Patreon page. Episodes come up a week early. Not a lot of extra stuff going on there. Sorry to say, because the stuff that we talk about offline, we can't put up because it's confidential, and we just don't. I mean, this is long enough, and it takes long enough. We don't do extra stuff, but we may. All right. So I guess that's going to be it until next week.
And until then,
I'm
Danny.
And I'm Jim.
And we'll catch you later.
Bye.